Here is the question. Did her spirit leave her body or was it just a dream? You decide. Well, hello, my spooky friends and wonderful wild weirdos. How are you doing? If you are new to this channel, Evelyn Cottage, this is my spooky haunted house, and I am Silky. It is good to see you. And if you like scary ghost stories and, later on, give it a chance. If you think you want to come back here, please feel free to subscribe. It's not going to hurt my feelings if you do. And Scully, this is my co-host. He's having an issue. He feels like the glasses look too feminine, but I told him, look, it's a good color. It matches my dress like almost. So I'm thinking it's okay. But what do you think? Let Scully know. Yay or nay? The brown ones, the blue ones. All right, but today we are going to get into some great emails that you have sent me, and boy, are there some good stories in here. We're going to start with one sent in by Pamela. I am sensitive, meaning I have seen, heard, and felt spirit energy since young. I have stories, but I'll share two today. I am not in the healthcare field. That is quite okay. I love true ghost stories, paranormal, premonitions, everything. One day, when I was visiting my sisters and my father's graves on a chilly day, I walked across the lane into the mausoleum to warm up. The mausoleum was structured in such a way that there's no possible way for anyone to hide in its halls. I was alone in there. Suddenly, I heard what sounded like a young woman's voice directly in front of me, as it would sound as if someone alive was standing there. It was that clear. The voice said, "Hello." Then moments later, again, "Hello." I looked to the wall on my left and noticed that a young woman had recently been entombed in a casket sized niche right next to where I was standing. I assumed it was her greeting me. I bolted. Girl, I don't blame you. I think I would have bolted too. Okay, you know what? Gosh, would you look at the time? It's time to go. Toodles, I wish I could stay. Not. I thought if she could make her energy come across that strongly, what else could she do to me? That is a very good question. I did not know her, and I do not need to hear from fresh corpses. Thank you. Well, you know what? I agree with you. Um, there is that thing though. Some cultures believe that people stay around, like literally stay around for 3 days after they pass away. So was the funeral in that time? We don't know if she was like, just cremated and entombed. Maybe she was just that strong. I don't know, but I would say to go maybe make your excuses. You know how you do at a dinner party or some place you really don't want to be? You know, make your excuses and leave. Don't stay around talking to the ghosts. I do not advise. Thank you so much, Pamela, for sharing that story. But let's go on. This second story is even juicier. Oh, good. I love juicy. This is about a little girl ghost who liked to spook men. Well, I ain't a little girl, but I still like to spook men. What does that say about me? My husband and I had worked for an obscenely wealthy client. He and his family lived in a huge 10-bathroom house. Oh my gosh. What would you even do with 10 bathrooms? I don't know. I think I could figure it out. He bought the mansion next door to gut and renovate, then rent out. It was old and had history. Ah. My husband was their property manager, and before any work began, their housekeeper went with my husband to look at the place. They went to the basement, which was filled with medieval paraphernalia and was dark and very gloomy. The housekeeper was so frightened she clung to my husband, trembling, clutching her rosary and praying. Now, I just want to say I love anything medieval. I've got a full suit of armor. I've got like swords, like I love it. So at this point, I think I would have just been intrigued. But that's just me because I'm a weirdo. What can I say? A few weeks later, my husband and myself were with our client's wife in an empty room upstairs. I had a very strong sense that we were not alone. I picked up spiritual energy and it felt like we were being watched by something we couldn't see. My husband hired a group of tradesmen to do the renovations. There was a large staircase just to the right as you passed the foyer. There was something about the third riser. It was not structurally different than the rest of the stairs, but every tradesman would stumble on that third riser for some odd reason. Yeah, that is kind of weird if they're all following the same place. The women would never stumble on it. Now that is interesting. Quite often, my husband would stay behind in the early evenings to continue working, and often in the basement. When he was alone there, things got very active. I honestly don't know how he tolerated the noise. He heard running footsteps, doors and cupboards opening and closing, and faucets turning on. And he would just yell, "Shut up!" And all the noise would stop until the next time. I've done that too. Oh my gosh, have I done that? One of the tradesmen scoffed when my husband told the guys about the spooky activity. He did not believe in the paranormal nor ghosts. He was sure my husband was just making up stories and he wasn't that gullible. That is, until he stayed behind by himself. He was working at the base of the staircase. He looked up and saw the ghost of a little girl standing on the third riser. He bolted and never came back. It's like the little girly ghost was determined. I'll show you not to believe. Here I am. After the work was completed, a couple rented the house. They were pleasant professionals with two young children. Since my husband was still the property manager, he introduced himself a few weeks after the family moved in. He asked if they had any concerns about the house. Yeah, because that's the way you have to word it. You can't say, have you seen any ghosts? Like, don't be putting that in people's head. I think that was very diplomatic. Are there any concerns about the house? I mean, maybe the apparitions, maybe the noise, maybe the stumbling on the third riser. I don't know. Any problems? They were not at all frightened when they answered, "We know about the little ghost." This place isn't nearly as haunted as our previous house. Oh my goodness. They were like, okay, this is normal. I guess the owners rented to the right family. Oh, wow. Yeah. See, I get it because people tell me all the time, I wouldn't want to live there. I'm sorry. Like, your house is beautiful, but I wouldn't want to be there, because of the activity. I'm like, you know what? This activity, this ain't nothing. This is whatever. Like, it doesn't even bother me. That's the difference when people have lived in a really bad, evil house, and I have. Um, this is a walk in the park. So I understand exactly what you're saying. Thank you again, Pamela. I love these stories. Okay, this one is sent in by Eliza Lorena. I hope I said that right. I wanted to share this rather unusual story that recently happened to me and my uncle. He's an elderly man, so I try to look out for him by giving him rides to his medical appointments, and in exchange, he helps me care for my son whenever I have to fulfill important obligations for nursing school. Oh wow, that's a great system there. Well, a few weeks ago, I had a very vivid dream about him. In this dream, I opened the front door of his house, walked through the living room, and went into the kitchen. I saw my uncle lying lifeless on the floor in a supine position. I quickly ran up to him, got on my knees to check his carotid pulse, and immediately began doing chest compressions until I woke up. I decided not to share this dream with anyone because I didn't want him or anyone else to think I was insane. Well, today, August 10th, 2014, my uncle decided to tell me that he died a few weeks ago. What? He told me that he didn't want to tell anyone because he didn't want his family to worry about him. My response to him was, "What do you mean you died?" And he stated that his spirit left his body. He went on to say that a few weeks ago he felt really sick, and while he was in the kitchen, he suddenly dropped to the floor. When he came to, he said his hands, feet, and limbs were cold, and his skin was clammy, as if he'd been gone for several hours. He's not too sure. I asked if he was wearing a green t shirt and gray pants, and he confirmed that those were the clothes he had on. So that's when I decided to tell him about my vivid dream, how I found him lifeless on the kitchen floor, and how I began to give him several chest compressions until I woke up. Then I began to think to myself, was that really a dream, or could this have been an out of body experience? The fact that I knew where he was, the position he was in, and the exact clothes he had on is what makes this all the more strange. Is it possible that my spirit came to revive him? I will let you decide. Thank you for sharing my unique experience. Oh, wow. Yeah, that is one of the most unique stories I've ever heard about something like that. Do I think that you can? I think it was an out of body experience. I do. Um, and I say that because, like, you definitely saw him. It was the right time frame, the right clothes, and the whole your story and his matches up. And if y'all will, I don't know if you've ever heard the story. Like, I can't remember. It's been documented over and over about the woman and her child that were, driving down the road, got, turned up missing. And then there was a woman on the side of the road, like flagging people down, and said that her car had went off the embankment. And when they finally did find the car, it was several days later. The woman had clearly been passed away for several days, but her small child in the back seat was still alive. And there was no way that the mom could have actually been up there flagging down traffic. So, I mean, wow, that was definitely kind of the same thing, right? I can't remember the name of the mom in that case, but it's been documented a lot. And to me, that's what this sounds like. That is so crazy. I definitely don't think it was just a dream. All right. I think you definitely saved his life. And we don't understand. Look, we don't understand how things work. We're just guessing. That's the best we can do is guess. We have not a clue. There has not been a handbook to how the body works, how the soul and the spirit work. And, look, I think that is a beautiful, beautiful story. And thank you so much for sharing it. I 100% believe that. Okay, I have one more short one before we go. And this was submitted by Angela. This happened about 20 years ago. I was the only one home. My husband was down the street at a neighbor's house. My daughter was at work. I was watching TV. We lived on a base housing at Seymour Johnson Air Force Base in North Carolina. I heard the kitchen door open, close, and I heard them walk across the wood floor. This was early evening. The sun hadn't completely gone down yet. I assumed it was I assumed it was my husband. I said, "Hey." There was no answer. I just sat there watching my show. I heard it again. The kitchen door opened, closed, and someone walked across the wood floor. That time it was my husband. I got a little nervous. At this time, my husband had a broken shoulder, and any little movement in the bed hurt, so I slept in another room. That night, about an hour after I went to bed, I heard someone walk down the hall, then walk across the wood floor and up to the door of the room I was sleeping in. They would never come into the room. Then, after a few seconds, they would turn and walk away. This kept happening. I would drift off to sleep, but would wake up to hear the creaking of the wooden floor. Finally, at 3 a.m., I got up, walked to the middle of the hallway, and said, very sternly, "I don't know who you are, but I have to get up for work." I'm sorry. I got tickled because I've done this. I'm giving ghosts what for? before. Okay, I don't know who you are, but I have to get up for work very early. Cut it out. I went back to bed and it stopped. This space is supposed to be haunted by Civil War ghosts. This has stuck with me for a very long time. Thank you so much, Angela. Yeah, look, I have gotten mad at spirits so many times in my life when they're really, really aggravating me, keeping me awake, whatever. And I have yelled out. I don't know what kind of spirit it is. I don't know if it's angel. Well, I wouldn't be yelling at an angel, but I don't know if it's a ghost or a demon or a whatever in between. But I'm like, I've had enough. Stop it. Cut it out. Enough. All of those things. So I get it. So, like, some of us just don't have the temperament to deal with ghosts in annoying situations. How about you? What would you do? Okay, I'm going to end this for now, but I have a lot more emails. I've got a lot more stories, and just keep sending them in. Maybe by the time that you see this, it's going to be closer to spooky season. And I'm thinking about maybe doing like reviewing some spooky TikToks or glitch in the matrix stories or stuff like that. What do you think about that? Do you want to watch any of those with me? Got some other things planned. You never know. And we will definitely have fun spooky season, and I will go live at least once. We'll see how it goes because I would really love to talk to some of you live on live chat. But that will be coming up, and I will make sure I announce it for, several days to a week before that actually happens. All right. I hope you have a great rest of the day, night, morning, whatever. But whatever you do, give Scully a thumbs up because he has been really good and not caused a whole lot of problems during this episode. And remember to stay spooky. Bye bye.